Police officers of Reddit, what was your they could have gotten away with it if they had kept their mouth shut moment? I know someone whose car was keyed one night, so he drove to the police station to report it. Except he was drunk. The cops clearly saw him actually driving under the influence. He's awaiting the judge's decision now and is very mad that the cops took his license away, but like what choice did they have? If only there was an alternative method with which he could have summoned a local constabulary without going to the station. I had a car pass me once. Passenger hangs the upper half of his body out of the passenger side window with his middle finger in the air while screaming, "F the police." He had my attention for the seatbelt violation. I got behind the car and ran the registration. Registration is suspended. Registered owner's driver's license is attached to the registration and his license is suspended. Registered owner also has 2 warrants for retail theft. I stopped the car, and they both started with the free speech thing and how I can't stop them for giving me the finger or swearing, which is 100% correct, when I pointed out that I can, however, stop them for the passenger not wearing a seatbelt and for the registration violation. Suddenly they got quiet. Driver got arrested for suspended license and his warrants and the passenger got himself a citation. The driver's vehicle got impounded. Moral of the story? Tell your passengers to shut their mouths. Had that guy not been a moron, his buddy would have been homeward bound. No a police officer, but I do know of this house in my local village that was a notorious drug den. The police came to search the place but couldn't find anything. As they were leaving, the lovely owner yelled at them that they should have brought the drug dogs. So yeah, they came back a few days later with the drug sniffing dogs and found huge amounts of drugs hidden away. Absolute morons. I was asked to help keep peace while 2 probation officers searched a guy's house. Before everyone gets upset, in most jurisdictions, you have to submit to a search of your person and your home if you're on probation. During the search, a PO lifted the probationer's mattress and said monotonously, "Wow." The probationer got upset and said, "Yeah, it's meth and a gun. Arrest me, I don't give a f." Turns out the PO found a huge dildo, but after the guy opened his mouth, the PO lifted the mattress more and found a bunch of individually wrapped grams of meth and a Glock 17. The PO said that seeing the dildo was enough for him to ignore the mattress, but because the guy said something, he kept looking. That's guy's attitude, and his need to open his mouth got him 10 years in prison. Okay, so we had a DUI accident where a guy kept driving straight into the woods into a tree because his GPS was predicting a future street. He walked back to his hotel room and left his check-in papers in the car. So we go to the hotel and go to his room and knock on the door. He did not have to answer. But he did. He was pretty clearly drunk. I asked him if he had anything to drink since the accident. He did not have to answer, or he could have told us that he drank after the accident. He said, "No, I haven't had anything to drink since the accident. And where I'm from you have 24 hours to report a property damage only accident. So it wasn't even a hit and run." So as I'm locking the guy up, he tells me he's a lawyer. I told him I hope you're not a defense attorney. But in his defense, he was drunk. Michael, there's no road here. Currently watching Live PD, and the guy told the officer I have caffeine pills in my back pocket, gets them out, puts them on the hood. Everyone's chill. Dude then comes clean and says it's Molly, and the officers look at each other and go, "Do we even have a test kit for that?" Other officer says no. Dude's face just shows he should have kept his mouth shut. Edit, spelling and grammar. Same. Saw one, ironically in my hometown, where a woman pulled off the highway unnecessarily with another car that the cop initially intended to pull over. She mentioned to the cop that she wanted to have a few words with the other vehicle, because they were being a-holes and trying to race her. This is why the cop pulled the other car over, because they were speeding. Anyways, officer tells her no, that she needs to leave and that it would not only be unsafe but also illegal if she got out of her vehicle like that on the side of the highway. She says okay, whatever. Cop proceeds to speak with the other vehicle and she is still parked there, now yelling out her window at the other vehicle. Both the cop and the people are laughing and he still does nothing. Cop goes to write the speeding ticket and this bee gets out her car and approaches the other vehicle. He finally effing cuffed her and put her in the squad car, all the while she's complaining that it's completely unfair. Was completely dumbfounded. Not a cop, but a public defender. Had a client who made a long statement that didn't help her case, but the judge was letting her go without setting bail. Before leaving the courtroom, however, I was informed that police from another precinct were coming to pick her up and she'd be held until they did. They didn't get her until much later, but I told her to absolutely not say anything to them. To keep her mouth shut. The next day I go to do her arraignment and I get the notice of any statements, which started with my lawyer told me not to say anything, but this is what happened. Admitted to a variety of crimes, it was frustrating to say the least. A cousin of a friend of mine travels around the states to take in deadbeat dads. Gets to one place, a 4-year-old kid is home, dad isn't. So the cop starts talking to the kid, making sure he's okay and such. After a bit of this, kid says to cop, "Want to see my dad's secret garden?" Takes him to a closet with a false back, opens it up to see a small pot farm. Guy gets home to a few cop cars and a few chargers. Pull over this guy for expired tabs. Ask for his ID and he's feeling around for his wallet. Can't find it. He says, "Oh man, I'm one of you, it's cool." "Oh, what department?" Oh, actually I'm a security guard, but same thing. I'm polite, "So where's your ID?" "Oh, it's in the," and he motions to the trunk. "It's in the trunk actually, no. My BS radar is going off." "Okay, want to get your ID out of the trunk?" "Nah, I don't have it." He starts looking around for another story to use. But now I know I'm supposed to stay out of the trunk. He's also not giving me any more information. "No ID, then I have to take you in and get you fingerprinted. I'm going to get into that trunk one way or another." He's looking like he's lost. I ask him what's in the trunk, but he's not talking anymore. We pull him out and get him in cuffs. Another officer takes him to get ID through fingerprints. Since his car is expired past 6 months, California, we tow the car. In the process of getting ready to tow the car, we need to take a quick inventory. In the trunk was a police uniform with fake patches and a metal badge. No gun, but a duty belt. He also has stacks of child corn. This is a guy who a neighboring city had been looking for months. His MO was to dress as a police officer, talk to kids, and you can figure out the rest. If he just gave me his name, I could have looked up his ID and verified he had one. I'd probably have let him go. But, edit, the neighboring city had zero information as to his name. They only had a vague description of the car and the fact he was posing as a police officer. In fact, what he would do is start talking to a kid in the 9-12-year-old range. Tell him he has to be taken in for questioning. Handcuff the kid, and take him to his car. He was a bad dude. Edit 2. I just found out about the platinum and gold and silver. I truly appreciate your generosity and I'm humbled and honored to be the recipient. Thanks for all the kind words. As an officer, we just don't hear enough of the thanks. But really, we knew that going in. Take care and stay safe. The absolute best example of this has to be Dennis Rader, aka the BTK killer. For those of you unfamiliar with BTK, it stood for bind, torture, kill, and he was a notorious serial killer spanning several decades from 1974 until 1991, and he's responsible for at least 10 murders. Anyway, BTK went silent for a long time and nobody had heard anything up until 2004 when he started sending letters to the police and media again. In 2005 he sends a letter to the police asking if he sends in a floppy disk will they be able to trace it. They tell him no, so the doofus sends them a disk. They are able to recover metadata from a deleted Word document from the disk which contained his name and the church where he was president of their council. They were easily able to find him after that and he was arrested and eventually given 10 consecutive life sentences. He probably could have gotten away with all those murders if he would have just stayed silent. Not a police officer, but my mom once managed to talk her way into a lesser fine for a traffic offense, but wasn't satisfied with that, so managed to sass her way right back into the full fine. Sigh. Done that. Got to know when to hold and fold. And sometimes, you learn that lesson the hard way. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, The best thing you can do is simply watch the videos. But if you really want to see the channel thrive, subscribe, like, comment, add to favorites, add to playlist, and share with friends. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Reddit and Insta. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you with tomorrow's upload.